today's class we are going to see about these semiconductors. What are different types of materials, and we will see all those topics in this class. First unit is semiconductors. This is the introduction part, the branch of engineering which deals with current conduction through vacuum tubes, gas, semiconductors is known as electronics. The branch of engineering which deals with current conduction through vacuum tubes, gas, semiconductors is known as electronics here. Here, in earlier days, the flow of electrons is done by using vacuum tubes or some gases. At present, we are using these semiconductors. The electronics is the flow of electrons. The flow of electrons is dealt by these electrons. Is done by these electrons. We can call this as electronics here. By using this, initially it is dealt with vacuum tubes. Later on, it is manufacturing is done with respect to the gases, and later on it is converted into semiconductors. Initially, small scale integrated circuits were manufactured. Later on, medium scale integrated circuits. Next, large scale integrated circuits, very large scale integrated circuits, ultra large scale integrated circuits. At present, we are using ultra large scale integrated circuits are manufacturing here. The electronic devices are capable of performing Those electronic devices are capable of performing the following functions. These functions can be done by each and every electronic device is possible. First one is rectification. Second one is amplification. Third one is control. And fourth one is conversion. First we will see the rectification. Rectification means conversion of AC signal into pulsating DC signal. It is not going to convert completely DC signal. For a conversion of complete DC, we need to maintain some other modules we need to add. Then only it is going to convert into complete DC. Rectifier basic operation is basic operation is converting AC to DC. Its main application is charge storage batteries. It is going to be used in charge storage batteries, DC generators, electroplating, etc. We will see these concepts in rectifier unit. Next one is amplification. Amplification means simply the raising the strength of weak signal, and it acts as that signal is going to be is amplified and converted, and the strength of the signal is get amplified by using this amplification process. Raising the strength of weak signal is known as amplification. The application of this amplification is it can be used in radio sets, televisions. PA means public addressing systems. And the third main application is control. Automatic control applications we are also going to be done by using these electronics. Example is motor speed can be controlled, and refrigerator voltage can be controlled automatically. These refrigerators voltage can be converted high and low. This is the control operation can be done by these electronics. Next one is conversion of electricity into light is possible. That process is known as electroluminescence property. This is the half word is from electricity, and half word is from light. Luminescence means light. This conversion is known as electroluminescence property. This electroluminescence property is we will come across in optical sources. This is in optical fibers we will come across both the optical sources and detectors. Optical fiber communication, one subject is there, it will comes in your fine layer. That's in that subject. These optical sources are acts as transmitters, and these optical detectors are acts as receivers. These optical sources are example for these optical sources are LEDs and lasers. రావట్లేదా, క్లియర్ గా రావట్లేదా?
స్లోగా ఉంది సార్.
ఇప్పుడు
బ్రేక్ అవుతూ వస్తుంది సార్.
బ్రేక్ అవుతుందా? అది
కొంచెం
ఇంటర్నెట్.
ట్రై చేయండి సార్, వాయిస్
ఓకే.
సరిపోతుంది.
ఓకే. ఇంటర్నెట్ ప్రాబ్లమ్ ఉన్నట్టుందా మనకు కొంచెం ఏదైనా? అందువల్ల అప్ అండ్ డౌన్ అవుతుందా వాయిస్ ఏమన్నా? ఓకే. వి విల్ సీ. మధ్యలో చెప్పండి. నాకు చెప్పండి. ఇట్లానే చెప్పండి. ఏమన్నా డౌన్ అయితే. ఆ? ఇప్పుడు ఎట్లా ఉంది?
బాగానే
ఓకే.
ఉంది సార్.
ఓకే. This conversion can be done in two ways, that is converting electricity into light, that is electroluminescence property. This is applicable in optical sources. Examples of these optical sources are light emitting diode and lasers, and lasers are the two examples for optical sources. It will take the electrical energy and it is get converted into light energy. And the next one is light into electricity. This is the photoelectricity property. This we can come across this property in optical detectors. Examples for these optical detectors is photodiodes, phototransistors, PIN photodiode. We can call this as P type, I type, N type photodiode. These are the applications for optical detectors. And the basic conversion operations, this type of conversion operations can be come across in TVs, computers, radars, etc. We can use these optical applications in these equipment here. Now, finally, the application of electronics is very vast, and it is everywhere. We are using the electronics here nowadays. We are using in every aspect here. That is science and technology, communications, entertainment, defense, robotics, radio and TV broadcasting, medical sciences, industries, etc. Science and technology in space, we are using here. Communication, in all type of communications we are using. Entertainment, in movies we are going to use. In defense, in DRDO, ISRO, all the applications we are going to be used in electronics. Electronics, robotics, radio and TV broadcasting, medical, biomedical applications, industries, etc. Is there any problem, Balaji? Is my voice clear?
సార్ వాయిస్ ఇప్పుడు వస్తుంది సార్ బాగానే.
ఓకే. మళ్ళీ నాకు అట్లా వచ్చినప్పుడు చెప్పండి, మళ్ళీ రిపీట్ చేద్దాం అంతకైతే. నెక్స్ట్, after conversion, we will move on to the materials here. Matter is anything which has mass and occupies space. It has three types of quantity, that is solid, liquid and gas. In mass, in that matter, which consists of atoms or molecules. Those atoms in solids, those atoms are arranged in the closest manner and taken on a 3D geometric pattern called, we can call this as crystal lattice structures. Crystal lattice structures is formed in solids here, whereas in liquids the atoms are somewhat closer, but they are arranged in haphazardly manner. That means irregular arrangement of structure will take place in liquids here. And gases, these gases, atoms or molecules are separated from each other by large distances and are arranged in irregular fashion. Solids, some 3D crystal structures we will come across, whereas in liquids some disorder will take place, that is lacking order will take place in liquids, and more lacking order will take place in gases. This is the basic difference between, in matter, three components are there, that is solids, liquids and gases. And next one is these solids are again divided into two types, that is crystalline and non-crystalline structures. These crystalline structures are regular and orderly arranged. Orderly arranged. Non-crystalline structure, second one is non-crystalline structure, and it is irregular and disorderly arranged. Crystalline materials are again divided into three types, that is conductors, semiconductors and insulators. This is the basic division it is acquired from the crystalline structures. Those crystalline structures is divided into three types, that is conductors, semiconductors and insulators. And this is the basic atomic structure. We will see, you have also already seen this atomic structure, Bohr's atomic model in intermediate. I'm just giving brief idea regarding that. Atomic structure: all the materials are composed of very small particles called atom. These are the small particles called atoms, are surrounds these are the small particles surround this atom here. This is the atom structure. An atom consists of central nucleus of positively charged, around which small negatively charged particles called electrons. This is the nucleus. This is first orbit. It consists of 2 electrons, and this is the second orbit. It consists of 4 electrons, and this is the third orbit, which consists of 4 electrons. Like that, this is just a representation I have given here, and I am considering this as nucleus. From this center point to this level, I can take that this is the first orbit. That first orbit radius, I am considering that first orbit radius as r1 here, and this is the second orbit. This is the second orbit. I am considering this from center point to this level. I am taking that radius as r2, and from the center point to the third orbit, I am taking that orbit as r3, r3, and along with this, each and every orbit, some charge carriers are there. Those charge carriers are electrons. I am taking those charge carriers are electrons. These electrons, those electrons revolve around the nucleus in different paths or certain permitted orbits with radius r1, r2, r3.
సార్
వినిపించట్లేదా? హలో భార్గవ్, బాలాజీ,
Yes, sir. చెప్పండి సార్.
వినిపిస్తుందమ్మా?
బ్రేక్ అవుతుంది సార్.
ఇప్పుడు ఇప్పుడు
ఇప్పుడు దాకా అలాగే ఉంది సార్.
అలానే ఉందా? బ్రేకింగ్ గానే ఉందా?
ఇప్పుడు ప్రెసెంట్ ఓకే సార్.
ఓకే ఓకే, చెప్పండి, పర్లేదు చెప్పండి, అట్లా మధ్యలో మధ్యలో చెప్పండి, పర్లేదు, ఏమవదు. ఓకే. These electrons revolve around the nucleus in different paths or certain permitted orbits with radius r1, r2, r3, etc. This nucleus contains protons as well as neutrons. These protons are positively charged and neutrons have no charge. The electrons in each permitted orbit have a certain fixed amount of energy. The larger the orbit, if the orbit is larger, that means larger radius, the greater is the energy of that electrons. Let it be this orbit. This first orbit consists of, with radius r1, it possesses the energy of er1, and this is the second orbit, which consists of the energy er2, and this is the third orbit, it consists of energy er3. That means the energy of the third orbit is higher when compared to the energy of second orbit. When energy of second orbit is greater than energy of first orbit. That is the relation I am giving here. That is the energy of orbit r1 is less than energy of orbit r2. This is the energy of orbit r3. That means energy level of this third orbit is very much higher than this inner orbits here. That means the electrons which are present in the outermost shell is possessing more amount of energy. The electrons which are present in the outermost shell is possessing high amount of energy, and the electrons in the last orbit possess very high energy as compared to the electrons in the innermost orbit. This is about different orbits here. Next one, each and every electron is possessing some atomic weight, atomic number. It consists of some charge, mass and radius. I am just memorizing those things. This is atomic number is equal to number of protons plus number of neutrons. Atomic number is equal to number of protons or electrons. This is the summation. Weight means summation, whereas number means r. In an atom, the number of electrons in any orbit is given by 2n square, where n is it is given by the formula. Number of electrons in any orbit can be found out by using this formula 2n square. This is the formula where n is equal to orbit number, where n is given by orbit number. From that, from this formula in first orbit, I will consider this first orbit 2n, n is equal to 1, then it will become 2. If n is equal to 2, then it will become 8. If n is equal to 3, then it will become 18. Like that, each and every orbit possess the how many electrons, how many electrons each and every orbit can acquire. It can be given by this formula. Next one is charge on an electron, that is q is equal to 1.602 into 10 power minus 19 coulombs. This is you know this one already. Mass of an electron m is equal to 9.109 into 10 power minus 31 kg. Radius of an electron small r is equal to 1.9 into 10 power minus 15 meter. To memorize this one, first if you memorize this one, 10 power minus 19, if you reverse this number, then we can easily memorize this one. 9.1 into 9.109 into 10 power minus 31. If you again reverse this term, and I will get this term 1.9 into in this half 10 power minus 15 meters. Like that, we can memorize charge of an electron, mass of an electron, and radius of an electron is possible. These terms we can easily memorize here. Next one, the electrons moving around the nucleus possesses two types of energies here. First energy is kinetic energy and second energy is potential energy. This kinetic energy is mainly due to its motion. It is rotating, it is revolving around the nucleus, so due to that motion, I am getting some kinetic energy here. And potential energy due to the charge of an on the nucleus, it is possessing some charge, therefore that electron possessing some charge, therefore I am acquiring some potential energy here. The electron moving around the nucleus possesses two types of energies, that is kinetic energy due to its motion and potential energy due to the charge on the nucleus. These two are the energies acquired by the electron here. The energy of an electron increases as its distance from the nucleus also increases. The outermost electron is having the more amount of energy than the electron which are present in the innermost orbit. That is the meaning of this one. If an electron, innermost electrons and outermost electrons, these two terms, just memorize these two terms, innermost electron and outermost electron. If the electrons which are present in the outermost orbit if I am giving some additional energy, some excitation in the form of some heat, light, or other electromagnetic radiation, then that electron is lifted to the higher orbit. The atom is said to be in the state of excitation. Let it be the electron which are present in this orbit, this electron which are present in the orbit will given some energy here, then it will shift it to the second orbit. If this electron, some more energy is provided, then this electron will move to this orbit. Like that, this electron, the outermost electron, we can call these electrons as valence electrons. If we are giving some energy to this electron, it will excites and go to some other, it will make some bonding with respect to some other atom. Like that, it will form some bonding here. Like that, if an electron is given some additional energy in the form of some electron volts, that electron volt is heat, light, or electromagnetic radiation, it is lifted to the higher orbit. The atom is said to be in a excited state. ఆ యాటమ్, ఆ ఎలక్ట్రాన్ అట్లా బాగా ఫాస్ట్గా డ్రాస్టిక్గా మూవ్ అయిపోతూ ఉంటే దాన్ని స్టేట్ ఆఫ్ ఎగ్జైటేషన్ అంటాం అనమాట. నెక్స్ట్ వన్ ఈస్ దిస్ స్టేట్ డస్ నాట్ లాస్ట్ లాంగ్ this state does not last long because the electron soon falls back to the original lower orbit. Again it falls back to the original lower orbit. As it falls, it gives back the acquired energy in the form of whatever the energy it was acquired initially, that is again gives out here in the form of heat, light, or other electromagnetic radiation. First it will acquire the energy, and next step it will releases that energy. That is the that is the process. First, from lower energy level to the higher energy level. Lower energy level electron will take some energy and will take some energy. A lower energy electron will take some energy and it will excite it to the higher energy level. That is the by giving out some excitation, and later on it will come back to the original level. Silicon atom atomic number is 14. These are the different orbits here. Those orbits, first 14 in the first orbit 2, second orbit 8, and third orbit is 4. Whereas in germanium 32 is the atomic number. Maximum number of electrons possessed in the first orbit is 2, second orbit is 8, third orbit is 18, and last orbit is 4. The outermost shell for this silicon as well as this germanium is both are 4. Both are 4. We will discuss more about this in the upcoming classes. The electrons in the outermost orbit of an atom are known as valence electrons. The electrons in the outermost orbit, this is the outermost orbit, these electrons we can call this as valence electrons. The electrons in the outermost orbit of an atom are known as valence electrons. The valence electrons determines the physical and chemical properties of a material. Physical and chemical properties of a material can be identified by using these valence electrons. Next, the valence electrons can be easily removed or detached by applying a small amount of external energy. These electrons will become freed up here. These electrons are going to be free. We can call these electrons as free electrons. Determines the electrical conductivity of a material. Our free electrons, ఆ వ్యాలెన్స్ ఎలక్ట్రాన్స్ని మనం ఫ్రీ ఎలక్ట్రాన్స్ అని కొంచెం సేపు అనుకుందాం. దోస్ ఫ్రీ ఎలక్ట్రాన్స్, ఇఫ్ ద కంటెంట్ ఆఫ్ దట్ ఫ్రీ ఎలక్ట్రాన్స్ ఈజ్ very high when compared to the other material, we can take that material as a conductor. More number of electrons, if the material consists of more amount of electrons, we can call this as conductor. If the material consists of equal proportionate amount of electrons, we can call that as semiconductor. If the electrons which are those free electrons are less in number in that material, we can call that it as insulator. Like that, we are going to differentiate those things. We are again discussing here. A conductor is a substance which has a large amount of free electrons. When the electric potential difference applied across a conductor, free electrons moves towards the positive terminal of power supply. ఈ పాజిటివ్ టెర్మినల్ ఆఫ్ పవర్ సప్లైకి ఎట్లా వెళ్తున్నాయి ఏంటనేది మనం నెక్స్ట్ క్లాసెస్లో చూస్తాం. డోంట్ వరీ. These electrons possesses the negative charge. It will be attracted towards positive terminal of power supply. అదొకటి గుర్తుపెట్టుకోండి అంతే. Free electrons moves towards the positive terminal of power supply. Constitutes electric current here. Electric current. Example of these conductors are all metals, that is aluminum, copper, silver, etc. Next one is insulator. An insulator is a substance which has practically no free electrons at ordinary temperature. There is no electrons. At ordinary normal room temperature, there are no electrons. Therefore, an insulator does not conduct current under the influence of electric potential. An insulator does not conduct current under the influence of, though I am providing some sort of electrical energy to the insulator, it will take much of the energy, but it is not going to conduct. Why? Because very small amount of electrons will be present in the insulator. That's why only the conduction of these insulators is very less here. The conductivity of conductors is high, insulators is low. Examples of these insulators is rubber, paper, mica, wood, etc. Next is semiconductors. A semiconductor is a substance which has a very few free electrons at ordinary temperature. Consequently, under the influence of electric potential difference applied across a semiconductor material, then it conducts partially. Initially, this semiconductor initially the semiconductor, if I am not going to provide any sort of power supply, it acts as insulator. If I am providing some sort of electric potential for the semiconductor, it acts as conductor. It possesses the properties of both insulator and conductor. So we are treating this as semiconductor, that by providing some electric potential, it acts as conductor. If I am not providing any sort of electric potential, it acts as insulator. The examples of this semiconductor is silicon, germanium, carbon, etc. This is about conductors, semiconductors, and insulators. We will see in depth in the upcoming class. That is energy band diagrams of semiconductors, insulators, and conductors. We will see in the upcoming class. This is the energy level. These are the different energy levels. Let it be, this is the nucleus. Again, the diagram is redrawn in different way. This is the first orbit, second orbit, third orbit, fourth orbit, like that. I am treating this energy. This orbit has one energy level. This orbit has second energy level. This orbit has third energy level, and this orbit has fourth energy level. That means each and every orbit has fixed amount of energy. The electrons possesses the energy of that orbit. Larger the orbit, greater is its energy. Each orbit has fixed amount of energy. That energy, the electrons which are present in this orbit, that energy is acquired by that electron. That electrons are acquiring that energy. That means indirectly that is possessing by that, the electrons possessed with that energy. If the orbit is larger, the outermost orbit is larger, then the energy is also very much high. That is the main point. The orbit has fixed amount of energy. Electrons possess the energy of that orbit. Larger the orbit, greater is its energy. The next one is that energy level. I am treating that energy level as energy band here. Energy bands. First one is energy level, and next one is energy band. The electrons in any orbit of an atom can have a range of energies. Range of energies, some group of energies I am considering here, not a single range. Some group of energy range I am taking here. That is, the electrons in any orbit of an atom can have a range of energies rather than a single energy. This is known as energy band. Energy band. Range of energies is known as energy band simply. Each orbit of an atom has single range of energies in solids. That may be semiconductor, conductor, or insulator. The electrons in the first orbit can have first energy range. First orbit can have first energy range. The electrons in the second orbit can have second energy range, and the electrons in the third orbit can have third energy range. I am treating that energy range as, this is the first orbit lo ఉన్న ఎనర్జీని ఫస్ట్ ఎనర్జీ బ్యాండ్ అంటాం అనమాట. ఫస్ట్ ఎనర్జీ బ్యాండ్ 1. లెట్ ఇట్ బి ఎనర్జీ బ్యాండ్ 1. This is the energy band 2, energy band 3, like that. First orbit possesses the energy band 1, second orbit consists the energy band 2, third orbit consists the energy band 3, like that. How many orbits are there depends upon that orbit levels. That much number of energy bands are provided. This is the figure. Next, this is the next upcoming class. We are going to discuss what are the energy bands in solids. This is the electrons, the bands. Mainly the bands are of 3 types here. Bands are of 2 types only, but we will consider in between some gap is there. That gap I am going to consider. Like that, we can call this as 3 bands. In that, in the lower energy band is the valence band, higher energy band is the conduction band. In between some gap is there. That is the band gap or forbidden energy gap. Band gap or forbidden energy gap. The electrons which are present in this valence band are known as valence electrons. The electrons which are present in this conduction band are known as conduction electrons. The electrons which are present in valence band are known as valence electrons. Conduction band, the electrons which are present in conduction band are known as conduction band. In how these what is the proportionate electrons are present in, how the proportionate electrons are present in semiconductors and conductors and insulators, in depth we will see. the energy the energy gap is very high in insulators. The forbidden energy gap in insulators is very high. The forbidden energy gap is very low in semiconductors. There is no forbidden energy gap in conductors. This we will see in the next class in a more elaborated way. How the electrons are jumping from the lower energy level to the higher energy level, and how the conduction will take place, and all those things we will come across in the next session. And in that we will see how the different operation of semiconductors, how the semiconductors are divided into, and how the p type of semiconductor will make the will going to conduct, and how the n type of semiconductor will going to conduct. All the information we will acquire in the upcoming classes. This is about brief description about different types of materials. First we will see what is the basic idea. First, introduction. What are the keywords we have learned in this class means rectification. Different functions can be performed by the electronic devices, that is rectification, AC to DC, amplification, raising the strength of weak signal, control, automatic control is possible by using these electronic devices. Next, conversion is possible by using the electronic devices. Next, applications of electronics. Next one is matter. Matter is divided into three types, that is solids, liquids, and gases. The arrangement of solids is in a three-dimensional geometric pattern. Liquids are irregularly aligned, whereas gases is somewhat irregularly aligned. That and again these solids are again divided into two types, that is crystalline and non-crystalline. These crystalline structures is divided into three types, that is conductors, semiconductors, and insulators. And atomic structure, it consists of electrons, protons, and neutrons. The outermost electrons are known as valence electrons. Each and every orbit I am considering, those orbits are R1, R2, R3, which consists of energy levels. Outermost orbit is possessing the high amount of energy, and innermost orbit consists the low amount of energy. Like that, each and every electron possesses the two types of energies, that is potential energy as well as kinetic energy. By giving out some excitation for that electron, it will move to the higher energy level, and it will give some conduction here. Like that, depends upon that we will dividing the materials into different types, that is conductors, insulators, and semiconductors. Energy level is the fixed amount of energy, though that energy possessed by that electron is known as energy level here. Energy band, range of energies is known as energy band. That bands are divided into three types, that is valence band, conduction band, and forbidden energy gap. These are the topics we have covered. Okay, next class we will see the in-depth material description here. Okay. Balaji.
Yes, sir.
సెషన్ క్లోజ్ చేయొచ్చా? ఇంకెంత ఉందమ్మా టైం చూడండి.
ఓకే సార్, 1 minute ఉంది సార్.
1 minute ఉంది కదా. ఓకే,
అయిపోయింది సార్.